So this time, what was interesting was I I went back over some of our older vlogs from the beginning of this month, I think is where it started, where I found out that the tickets were, like, because we booked it before the pandemic, and then it got cancelled because of the plague, and then we found out, I think, early this month, and I was freaking the fuck out over it. I was really, really scared about whether or not we could do it, and whether or not we'd be safe doing it, and like the level of capability, not just even enjoyment, you know, because like, dude, it was fucking terrifying to consider doing something that, like, in the world, I guess that's really like what it is. We've been focusing on therapy and working every single fucking day to build up the skills to be able to soothe and regulate our nervous system and manage the vast, significant, seriously debilitating impact of the symptoms that we have in day-to-day life. And we haven't really had like a lot of real world experience doing that in a public setting or at an event or doing any kind of like regular, you know, life things. We went to the pub once last month, maybe, with Mum, and that's like, we barely had to engage with people, we weren't there long. That was kind of the maximum. Sometimes we go to the shop, mostly we get shopping delivered, but if we run out of milk or something, we'll sometimes go to the corner shop, and that's like the most interaction and practice we get. And we go with Ryan, so like the going there is not, we have not had a hell of a lot of ranges of experience of existing and being in our bodies and being able to feel things and managing the vast array of like significantly fucking impacting symptoms. So we were definitely like, I was fucking terrified. Vince remains disturbingly unconcerned about everything. I guess the level of everything is not past the scale of what he's used to dealing with. And so I watched these vlogs back, and I found it really interesting because like some of what I said was very accurate and very like, yeah, it was on point, and some of it was not, and just the ways that I imagined what it would be like to re-enter society from this new place, having this completely new way to exist and learn to behave, and with our experiences being so vastly different now, it's interesting to see what I predicted accurately and what was not. Like in the vlog that's like fears and anxiety about going to see MCR, I said it will involve being in a hypervigilant state, which is accurate, and I could relax in moments. They were fleeting. Like, yeah, the idea of the feeling, and both in concept and in practice, prioritizing what we feel and what we're doing and trying to just blank everyone around us having a response to that and not attune and like not just completely camouflage ourselves based off of the perspectives and assumptions of what everyone around us wants us to be. Like, it was very, very difficult to do that, and for sure most of the day I was definitely in a hypervigilant, like, God, are we safe? Is somebody going to respond to this? Like, can't help but, if every time he spoke and I spoke, trying not to glance around to see if people were looking or had noticed, and just to completely drop that and think about, what did he actually say? What am I feeling? What's our body doing? How do I regulate? What does my body need right now? Does it need comfort, soothing, reassurance, nervous system regulation, breathing work, grounding, like, what do I need to do when, what am I feeling so that I can do it, or so I can know what to do when. And, like, trying to focus on all of that and drop any concern of what anyone around us was thinking or seeing or saying, or, like, that was really fucking hard. That impacted me on, like, a very physiological level. There were 2 points where I nearly had a migraine, and it got really difficult to focus a lot, because it was like my brain was just, like, fucking spinning its wheels in so many places. There was so many cogs turning, and I was doing so many things at once so consistently. I could really feel the strain. It's like when you're learning something new, like a language or something. If you just really intensively practice, and I can feel the burn and the strain in my brain as it's doing this. It was very like that. And I was quite hypervigilant. I repeatedly tried to pull myself out of that mindset and just be in our experience, but that was kind of a every second kind of thing. And also, what I didn't expect, because I was pretty on the mark about that, but what I didn't expect was that there were some moments where I achieved that. Like, I've spent so long practicing and working at trying to center our experience and feel what we're feeling, and not attune to what everyone around us is thinking or feeling. I didn't know what the result of managing it would be like, or look like, or feel like. So I was really surprised in a couple of moments, a few moments actually, where she just had this phenomenal fucking unearthly moments of experience where it was like the people around us melted away, or like they were there but it didn't mean I had to watch them or prepare to defend us in some way. It was like they were irrelevant in a very gentle sort of way. Like, normally I feel this pressure coming at me from everyone. It increases the more people are around, and it gets very crushing and compacting, and I feel like I have to remain within a certain shape to not draw attention. And there were some moments where it's like that just went. And instead of feeling this crushing weight imposing from outside, I could feel like I felt very loose and fluid, like my body wasn't that tense. We could actually dance. We could dance as if we were not under observation and forget that we were. And I could just, like, I didn't know what it felt like I didn't know what it was like for my body to move and dance in a way that felt like smooth and with a flow to the music, because I'm normally so fucking tense, even if I try, that, like, there is no flow. There is just rigidity and, like, trying to focus on what I might look like, but without the ability to feel any of my limbs, so that's not really having a self-image. So it's like just assuming that every time I move it's out of time, or I look dumb, or something like that, that really confines, and it wasn't like that at all. It was like, obviously it started like that, and I had to do a hell of a lot of work through the like hours we were there to let it go. And then there's the physical, like, oh my god, my body needs to rest so much more than, like, why the fuck are the people around me still dancing? How are they still doing this? I have to sit on the floor and rest, and my spine hurts. So there was, like, a lot of physical health issues that did have an impact. But also, the moments where my whole body loosened up, and I could feel my movements and his, and it was so strange. It was, I don't know how to explain it, but us both being in the body and present at the same time is the best thing I've ever experienced. Like, that dark void corridor of distance between me and everyone else around me just didn't even exist. It was like it had zoomed in, that had gone, I was just like almost right next to what we were seeing out of our eyes and what was around us. Like, I was right in the body, and everything that was happening around me really felt like it was happening to me, and I didn't feel alone at all. There was like the loose, relaxed, independent movement of somebody else, not even just having a friend dance with you and feeling their presence, but even closer than that, in a way that I could never possibly describe. And we could work out how the different ways we dance could go together and could work together in a way that was fun. You can count, there is a total of one time that I have had some fun dancing before. 2, but even then, still with crippling anxiety. And this was different. This wasn't like I did it and the anxiety was there as well. This was like, we were just focused on how everything felt and how the experience was and what everything meant to us and to each other. And I could feel the way I felt and the way he felt, and we could communicate kind of just in feeling acknowledgement of feeling and feeling acknowledgement of feeling, bouncing around together internally. And still, communication remains a little bit difficult, so speaking out loud was like, complicated things were difficult to, our internal communication is like very, very basic, I feel, but I'm not complaining. Just like, if I started to freak out about something or we needed complex things to get across, it was easier to speak into the mirror still. But, and yeah, the ability to do that, the ability to just like belt lyrics at each other into the mirror despite people around us, I will assume, noticing, but I don't know because I didn't check. And that's incredible. And there were a few moments of that, and moments where I had the feeling of like inspiration and creativity and like the ability to experiment, to play, to step outside a constrained mold of what may or may not look good and be safe, and to experiment with what felt fun and what felt comfortable and what made us happy, and having the basis for my actions be what we're feeling inside physically and emotionally, instead of what it will do for our safety or what it looks like and thus will do for our safety, is so fucking unheard of, and like just so much better that I can't even possibly quantify. I felt so whole and so safe and so like instead of having like this little candle flame in moments like that where I could tell we were both there and I could feel both our presence and just interacting with ourselves and each other, it was like my whole chest was just this warm, roaring campfire, and there was no dark void, there was no feeling of loneliness, just total and complete feeling of being alive and being present and being so very not alone. We could have our own in-jokes and our own understanding and our own meaning and laugh unrestrainedly at one another's jokes and not think about what we looked like to anyone. I had more and more of those moments as time went by. I don't think it ever didn't take work. Like, I constantly had the default of like get hypervigilant, check everyone's responses, like read from their cues what I'm expected to do and fit that mold. Like, that's still going all the time. It's like crushing down on me, and there's never a moment where I don't have to like lift the cage off me or use thoughts to catch things like, am I making an assumption? You know, am I centering us in this experience? Our safety is not, give reminders like our safety is not going to be impacted by me prioritizing us and ignoring this person's like confusion. We don't have to make sense to people. We don't have to be understood. There were a lot of constant reminders and reassurances, and there was a lot of breathing and a lot of soothing myself and each other in a lot of moments, in every moment, I think. But it's like throughout the day, I'd maybe through doing all of these things, at first it was just doing all of these things, and what I would achieve is I was not going into a panic attack. I nearly was, but I was not completely going into a panic attack. And then as the day progressed, it was like doing all these things, and it was like it was just at the edge of our coping skills. And then as the day progressed, it was like kind of managing to like block every potential blow, but it's taking all of my energy and focus to just do that. And then the day progressed a bit more, and it was like maybe getting slightly less prompts, or maybe the moments after the reassurance and the self-validation and the grounding back into the body, maybe the moments where I was actually able to be in the body and not think, what does that person say, or like did that person think, or are we safe as this person, like the moments where those things wouldn't scan maybe got slightly longer, second by second. And then maybe it was easier for one thing because I knew that everyone else there in the crowd was also in their own world. Like, everyone was just there to be with their friends, singing lyrics back and forth, with themselves, headbanging, with MCR, like just hanging out, just having a good time. And knowing that everyone else was doing that kind of made it easier for me to feel like we had permission, expectation to just focus on us as well. So it felt like a really good atmosphere to be able to practice just existing in. It was wild. It was absolutely wild. Like, it was so much work constantly throughout the entire day, and it's absolutely worn us out. And also, it feels like it's done something that's like, it's changed me on a level that I can't quite get into words. Like, it feels like it really internally built some structures, probably ones that we're already spending a lot of time building the foundations to ourselves at home every day, but it's like it really solidified some of those basic foundations. And by the time MCR was on, like after the travel and the food and the directions and the getting there, and the lines and the other bands before, and like by the time we were there with MCR, I could really feel the payoff for everything we'd been doing. Like I could feel and see the result of the work that we'd put in, and that is so fucking worth it. I can't explain. Just such There's just such an ultimate feeling of I felt so completely right, accepted, like cool in a calm and yeah, I like the person I am kind of way. I didn't feel like anything I was doing was lame or stupid, or I didn't feel like I couldn't be happy or display how much things meant to me, and like I could fully connect to that. And like the amount of songs they played that have significance and meaning within our system, and the amount of significance in the lyrics that we were able to probably shout at each other more often than try and sing, because it just felt more natural to be able to actually feel the words coming out of my mouth, because you couldn't hear shit. So I felt like everything I was doing in those moments was right, and like I was free to do that. And there was nothing but this warm, connected, existent feeling of like presence from me and from him and our entire environment, and everything was very real, and that felt good, not scary or unsafe. And the feeling of moving to the music, or feeling him move our body to the music, was actually, it was like being drunk. I must have happy brain chemicals working or something, because it was like the sort of lift and explosive fucking warmth you get in your chest when you're excited or happy because you're drunk. It was, but obviously we hadn't touched anything, so. And I actually, that could increase when we interacted together or danced or sung, instead of everything just being like hollow and not touching our internal experience through the cold, icy dread. Like, it was so different. So fucking different from the first time we saw them, and from any experience, really, that I've ever had. We were prioritized. We were completely the focus, more and more, of our experience, and that felt right. It didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong.